Yeah, for those of you who arrived just a few minutes ago, my name is Boyle, and I work with Oxleas NHS Trust. I'm a mental health worker, a social worker by background. A lot of my work's in social inclusion, and I've been also working with the World Community for Christian Meditation in relation to addressing mental health.
And I'm Morrison. I'm an Anglican priest and currently working in Bexley Heath, and was previously working in the NHS in health.
So we're going to talk with you today about the experiences that we've had in We're going to talk about the experiences we've had in working together in seeking to address meditation for people who are experiencing mental health difficulties. And it's really a way of what we hope to talk about today is some of the practicalities of what some of the issues have been for us in beginning this work, and also what some of the obstacles may be, and the path that we found, a path within working within the NHS, within the different policies that are around that are meaningful. Hold on. Excuse me, are you here for this one, or are you here for Chris McKenna? This one, fantastic. You're in the wrong. Right, we're not going through all that again. Stand up, because it's helpful just to kind of change the slides and get me in the mood of talking. Now, what we've got today is we're looking at the bit that we really want to talk about, the bit that we're passionate about, is the work that we've done together in working with people who are using mental health services in Bexley, and the way that we've actually found to work together. And also, in the second half of this workshop, we want to address the research that we've been doing. We've worked over the last year, and earlier at the beginning of this year, to doing a survey with the worldwide membership of the World Community, and we've got some of the initial findings from that. Come on in. So we want to share that with you, get your sense of that as well. So we've quite a lot to cover in putting this together. Some of the stuff that was helpful, that was definitely in our mind. Some of the things that are important particularly to me as a mental health professional, are in here. Time-wise, what we found yesterday is we don't really want to get bogged down in too much of that. So what I'll do as we go through this, there'll be some of the slides that I'll go through really quickly. And that's just to say, these are important for us. From our point of view, for the kind of discussion that we might want to have today, not hugely important, but just setting the scene. And the slides that will come out in a week or so in relation to this, you can, if there's anything in that you want to follow up on, then fantastic. Is that okay?
Yeah.
But the main thing is for us to get to the bits that are important for us. So here we go. So this is us. We've just described that. Our partnership work, which is a key bit. Talk about the sense of community. I was really pleased to hear what Lawrence was saying this morning about the importance of community in terms of recovery and meditation. That actually goes to the heart of the work that Carol and I have been doing together. Policy priorities, which we will skim over, and our results. Now, so why mental health in the first place? Now, just some basic facts. Really, big issue, really. 6 million people of working age in the UK experiencing depression, anxiety, or other mental health problems. Well, that's 1 in 6 people at any one time. And if we include drug and alcohol issues in that, we're really at 1 in 5. So these are some of the latest figures that we've got to play with. Just want to set the scene. I'm not going to do a lot of work with that, but just to say, when we talk about, I'm not interested in conditions, I'm not interested in classification. What I'm interested in is some of the experiences that people will have who are experiencing a mental health problem. And these are going to be physical, behavioural, thinking, and feeling things. It's really how we are, all these experiences get in the way of us being who we are, of us being able to fulfill the potential that we were talking about this morning, carrying out the responsibilities, seizing the opportunities, growing. That's the real price of a mental health difficulty, is the way in which it holds us back from that. Now, my work is about, with lots of discussions in the world community about being versus doing. Working in mental health, one of the things that has become so apparent to me, and it's based on personal experience as well, is that people just don't do enough. That's one of the big things about a mental health problem, is that it holds you back from doing what's within your power to do. It holds you back from realising that. So I'm very much, it's not that I'm saying, hey, let's not address being, but there's a step before that for people in recovery, and that's to actually begin to be as fully involved in our lives and our communities, our relationships as possible. So that's why, in fact, it's a bit like, I remember a colleague of mine saying, you know, some people talk about being, some people talk about doing, and we think about, take the Frank Sinatra approach to it, which is doobie-doobie-doo. Okay, so some of the policy drivers, we're going to go right through these, because they're not crucial for us, except that one. National Social Inclusion Action Plan is what has been a big motivator for us. Coming from it, I'm not a doctor, and we don't have an evidence base to be talking about meditation as a treatment. What I'm interested in is how people live their lives. Okay, people are getting treatment, they're getting their condition diagnosed, hopefully an appropriate treatment. The big thing is then, what do you do with the rest of your life? And that's where social inclusion comes in. And belatedly, in mental health services, we're recognising that it's really about helping people get on with the rest of their lives, really make a contribution, be part of their community. So here, what is social inclusion? In a nutshell, what I've just said to you, but let's have a little catchphrase for it. To boldly go where everybody else has been. To back that up. Let's fly. Okay, so what's helpful for me is to be able to talk about lots of life domains. Now in my work we address all of these, and our referral forms actually just simply list what are the things that you're interested in, what are the things that you're looking for. So it covers all these things: there's work and employment, education, learning, home and neighbourhood, volunteering, sport, leisure, art, culture, and then thankfully what's in there is faith and spirituality. Now, the great thing about a lot of the policy drivers is they open the door for us to be able to do what we feel is really important. So this allows us to really engage with local communities. Now, it means that in my work I can sit down and actually talk to people about their faith, their spirituality, and help not to point people in an overt Christian direction, unless that's what they're seeking, but to help people to be able to consider their recovery and engagement in their life on their terms, really, in terms of their belief, their tradition, their culture. So communities is a really big thing for us. It's really important. And as I said, there's been belatedly this recognition of just how important communities and social networks are in terms of our well-being. We know that it's enshrined now in the No Health Without Mental Health, which is the latest the government initiatives, which really does build on the previous one of New Horizons. Emerging now, just recent research by the Royal Society of Arts about this idea about connected communities. So it's coming up again, and enabling environments. Royal College of Psychiatry is talking about enabling environments. So this is an idea I think its time has come, and it's been at the heart of what we were seeking to do together. Yeah. So I'll put these up very quickly to show you. Quality relationships, shared sense of responsibility, everybody being valued, everybody being actively, purposefully involved. No funny decisions made behind closed doors, everything out in the open. And the people in roles of authority being accountable for the decisions they make. And everything being clear. People understand what the terms of involvement are. Those things might sound straightforward, but those are the sort of things. And people are going to get involved in social groups, in faith groups, in any social involvement. We need to be able to do it on those meaningful, healing, healthy terms. And also to be able to see all sorts of behaviour as a communication rather than as a problem to be siphoned out, really. Okay. Now, this gets us to what bit that we want to talk about, which is, I want to talk about all of it, but this is what we're seeking to crystallise it into. Carol, did you want to give us a bit about
yeah, it was.
I'll do this.
It's partnership working, and the thing that attracted me to it was the fact that my previous work in the NHS was around lifestyles. I was a lifestyles project advisor. So I was looking at all aspects of lifestyle, which included exercise and food and substances and mental health, behaviour change, and I was able to put in an element of spiritual practice in that as well. But it was because of that I'd begun to see that actually most of it came out from the mind. You know, all the kind of choices that people made were rooted in their kind of thought processes. They were the things that gave them the ability or not to make choices. And one of the scriptures that really speaks to me in that way and has stayed with me for a number of years, and incidentally was used a little while ago, last Friday, at the royal wedding. And it's Romans chapter 12 at the beginning. It says, "Therefore I urge you, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is." So it's only when the mind is able that you can then test the will of God and know what other direction you're going. And as we saw in a previous slide, that those attributes of lifestyle that are affected by the mental well-being, equally the choices you make around lifestyle then affect the mental well-being. So it kind of works both ways. So I was very attracted to doing this work with John and drawing all that kind of stuff together, which was good.
Excuse me, can you just repeat the quotation?
Romans 12, first 3 verses.
Excuse me, what does RISN stand for?
Right, that's one of the things we decided to do was give the community an identity this year. We've been going for nearly 18 months now. It's recovery in silent meditation. And we've because it's been around recovery from mental health issues, but also we've attracted some people in recovery from substance misuse as well in the 12-step program.
So who's it for?
Well, it's for anybody really. I mean, we haven't actually excluded anyone. We've primarily, if you like, advertised it and promoted it to people who are in services for mental health, and also because there's a connection at the church that I'm at, that we have quite a thriving AA group. So we have attracted people from the recovery program. But actually, I've spoken to people in the street who I'm not quite aware of what's happening with them, who've just been telling me a bit about their lives, and I've invited them. And people also drop into the church when the church is open on a daily basis, and they just come in, they just want quiet, they want prayer. And so if I kind of detect an element of something's quite going on for them in their lives, then I'll invite them as well. So it's actually open to everybody.
It is actually, yeah. I know a number of people coming through the services that I manage, when we were aware that they're seeking to express their faith in recovery, we explore whether the group would be helpful for them. And so the majority of people who are using the group are people who've got direct experience of using our oxleas services in the area too. Also, it's people who may have a Christian background but may not be practicing their faith for one reason or another. And there's a number of people who find that helpful. Yeah.
I think it also works for people who are seeking. I mean, it's identified as a Christian meditation group, so that if they're anybody who's kind of not quite sure, and we recognise the potential for the recovery community that when they're seeking for their higher power and haven't quite identified that yet, that there's scope for them to just come in and explore that because they know it's Christian. But that doesn't exclude anyone who isn't.